This is a second video of this car. It's a Defender Classic 110. Car is on the lift, as you can see. The first video was the walk around, and this is going to be showing you what the car looks like underneath. Now, when these cars come in, and I mentioned that before, these cars they're daily drivers in Europe, and they're actually used for utility reasons as well. So they always require some cosmetic upgrades or improvements. Like this one, for example, if you look at this rear bumper, it was refinished and refreshed just to give it a nicer look, because it probably had some surface rust on it. Now we, however, don't do any body work related to fixing rust or anything like that. We don't do any welding. We don't do any major repairs to the body or the undercarriage. We may paint a panel if it requires, if it has scratches or whatnot, but we don't do anything major. This one is no exception. We haven't done anything to it, and as you can see, other than this rear end here that you can see freshly painted just to improve the look, there was nothing that we've done to the undercarriage of this car, and it's all original. As far as rust situation, you may see some surface stuff, like for example this spring, which by the way it's an aftermarket spring. It has some paint that's peeling off of it, but there is really no rust on any of the components, and there is also no rust on the structure of the car. So the rails here, the frame of the car, all look very good. The floorboards, which I believe are aluminum floorboards, see all that looks really good. And again, there may be some surface things, but that can be cleaned off very easily. But there is no rust on it really. Some of the components, like this one, for example, this thick arm, these components don't have any rust protection, so they will always have some surface corrosion, but these are so thick they will never really rust all the way through. And here's the rear of the car. I think these are the most sensitive areas, those rear frame rails. That's usually where these cars rust the most. This one actually looks pretty good and pretty clean. And this is consistent all the way to the front of the car. You can see these rails there, they look very good, and there is really no rust anywhere. Now, as far as oil leaks and fluid leaks altogether, there are people that will tell you that if old Defender diesel doesn't leak any oil, it means that there's no oil in it. We really had several of them, some of them with really low kilometers, and even those had some tiny oil leaks. This one actually is not bad at all. If you look at the engine, I mean, there is some little moisture, but there is really not a puddle of oil under the car. But obviously the car is old and it has some kilometers on it, so it does have some minor leaks, but nothing crazy. And another thing is, for example, I think one of the most common leaks on this is the oil pan gasket. And look how easy it is to do, even if you had to replace it. I mean, you don't have to remove anything, any axles, any subframes. You just replace the gasket itself, and it's all very easily accessible. So that's what it looks like. So again, just to summarize, the car really has no rust underneath. Really the only corrosion that you'll see is in form of these aluminum panels that have oxidation, and they create some bubbles in different places of the car. But like I mentioned, that's pretty common with these Defenders. Another nice thing is, if you look at availability of parts, you can get anything for these. I mean, body panels, fenders, door skins, everything is available, and it's relatively inexpensive. So there are so many of these cars on the market in the United States and in Europe, and for so many years they've built this car without really changing much, that there are many companies, including aftermarket ones, that make parts for these cars, and not only body panels but also mechanical parts and upgrade parts, so you can make it look really cool and fix it up to your likings. Okay, thank you.